Meet Leah. I interviewed her for a click test study. Here's what I asked her. Question: a family member has called you in distress. Your father was locked up in a Denver jail, and you need to hire a bail bondsman ASAP. How do you find a bail bondsman? As you can see in this search, she decided to use a geo modifier, added the word Denver, and then bail bonds. And then she scrolled through the results. As you can see from the screen recording, she has a sample of the organic and local results, but ultimately she decided to click on that local result, specifically on the website option, which took her to this page where she indicated that she would in fact call this bail bondsman based on this result because of the urgency. So I asked her, why did you use the phrase you used when searching in Google? And here's her answer.
I searched Denver bail bonds just because it was the area and what I needed.
And then why did you click where you decided to click in Google?
I skimmed past the ads at the top, and then I noticed there were a few listed, and one of them said 5-star rating, so I just thought it would be good.
Cool.
And it was in the area.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Obviously, a couple of the key takeaways here are the local result website, click one, but reviews were important in the decision-making process. Meet Clayton, a 29-year-old man from New York. We posed the same question to Clayton as we did to the other participants. And in this case, we asked him if a family member was locked up in jail in Denver and was in distress, how would you find a bail bondsman, to get them out? So he started by pulling up Google and searching best bail bondsman Denver, and he noticed that he didn't spell it right, and Google offered the "Did you mean" option, so he selected that to load the results. Now, as Clayton was looking at these different results, he scrolled down through the top 3 local results and also had the first 2 organics there on the page. Ultimately, the reviews seemed to catch his eye because that's where he clicked. And since he clicked on the business name, it took him to the overview page here that has that maps-looking interface with other competing businesses on the left. Now, what Clayton did that's different than others is he decided to use the chat option as his primary form of contact, as that's what he prefers.
So I selected him because he's got a bunch of 5-star reviews. He's got 1 4-star review, but that's what I look for. If you're number 1 but your reviews suck, I don't want to go there. I'm looking for the top reviews, decent amount of reviews. You'll get my first phone call.
So in Ryan's case, the key takeaways seem to be pretty similar. Again, that local result won this time. Of course, he went to the listing page though, so not the website. Reviews were very important when deciding where to click, again. And the chat option was something that he mentioned that nobody else had yet. So that's something that you definitely want to consider integrating. Meet Caitlin, a Denver resident. We put her in the same scenario. A family member has called you in distress, your father was locked up in a Denver jail, and you need to hire a bail bondsman ASAP. How do you find one? Like the others, she started at the first page of Google and then started with a geo modifier in front of the keyword. She used the auto suggest there, obviously, to get the ultimate keyword, which was Denver bail bondsman, and she started looking at the results. Notice how she scrolled past the top 2 local results who did not have any reviews, and then is now looking at the reviews, or trying to, rather, for this particular bail bonds company. That seems to be pretty significant in what we've seen so far. Now, in this case, Caitlin's behavior was different than everybody else's. She had mentioned that she would do multiple searches and kind of do her research. So let's find out exactly what she has to say.
I would do searches first. I searched the general area of Denver, and then I'd start looking at reviews from people online, reading experiences, kind of weeding out the ones where it's the emotional, it has nothing to do with the quality of work of somebody, more of the I had a bad experience because I was late and it was a bad day type of things. So I'd look at best and worst and then look in the middle and kind of just go from there based on their experiences and their work output. So.
Do you get all your reviews from Google?
I do Google a few times from Yelp only because I try and get a little bit of variety, but mostly Google, yes.
Cool.
So like I had mentioned previously, her search seems to be very review-centric. Obviously, she did end up clicking on the one with the reviews, but it sounds like after that phone call, calling that business, she may actually go back to the search results and start calling more. There's a few key takeaways here for me. One is, of course, again, reviews. That's something that just cannot be overlooked. In this case, that local result one again, but also just business fundamentals of running a good business and answering your phone. Making sure that you have a chance to get that first contact when people are shopping around and really showcase why you're the best and why they should hire you, making that initial first impression. Meet Todd, a 53-year-old who lives in Colorado Springs. In this case, I asked him the same question about a family member being locked up, but in Colorado Springs. How would you find a bail bondsman? Todd is familiar with using Google and different search engines, so when he first started typing this in, he started by typing in bail's bondsman, and notice how he selected the autocomplete result. He had then thought about it a little bit, knowing that he was not actually conducting this search from Colorado Springs, and decided to change his search slightly. He did that by adding geomodifiers, which we'll see here shortly. And in this case, unlike in Leah's example, he does add the city, but he's adding it after the keyword, and he's also adding CO. So his search keyword ends up being bail bondsman Colorado Springs CO. One point of interest is the way that I phrased the question is I did say bail bondsman, so that may have reflected why he used that keyword in the search result. But nonetheless, he did spend quite a bit of time just looking at all of the different results on the page. He did scroll down and see multiples, and he did get to see even some of the organic results there before he ultimately started deciding how he was going to choose the listing he was going to choose. When he first started talking about it, he was actually first inclined to click on possibly number 2 because he had heard of Bobby Brown from Dog the Bounty Hunter. Ultimately, though, as you can see, he moved his mouse over the A result on the website option where he does end up clicking through after going through the process here and deciding on this website. So let's find out why he decided to click on this result.
Well, I clicked first because he was at the top of the list and he had a very nice rating. So I wanted to go to his website first and read about him and who he was.
And why did you use a search phrase you decided on when you searched in Google?
Well, because I don't know anything about bail bondsman, so I think that would bring up the quickest response time. Would be bail bondsman in the city I live first. That would be where I would start first.
It's pretty interesting that the key takeaways seem to be the same. The local result on the website click also won this time, although B did have a chance this well, and reviews were the driving factor in this case with the click there. So again, pretty interesting stuff.